Welcome back, guys, to Marketing Teardown. We are your hosts, Andrew.
And Travis, welcome to This Is Not a Podcast.com.
This is not a podcast.com, coming at you live and direct wherever you're currently playing this on LinkedIn and or YouTube. This is the show where we create a marketing strategy from scratch in 30 minutes or less. I've got a timer pulled up with 30 minutes on the clock. I've got a company that Travis is coming in cold to, and we're going to build a marketing strategy in a Google Doc from scratch. Today, we're going to do a marketing teardown of the #1 eSports team in France.
Holy shit, this is probably amazing. These guys are probably growing crazy. Vitality.gg, the domain is .gg, of course.
I know,
this is going to be hard. This is going to be so hard. All right.
I'm really stoked about this. All right, we have a few background stats here. They're gonna go through, and then we'll start the timer and tear it up, tear it down, and fucking get into it.
All business here, baby.
All business.
Oh my God, this website is beautiful too.
I know. I do, by the way, have to mention right now that this episode of Marketing Teardown is sponsored by Teardown hot sauce, the only hot sauce that's currently sitting next to my computer.
Oh, wow. Yeah, dude. Thank you to our wonderful sponsors.
So, a few things about Team Vitality. Like I said, they are the #1 esports team in France. Their website has an Alexa rank of 329,000. They're doing about 113,000 visits per month, a lot of that in France. And their stack is running on WordPress with a Shopify store on a subdomain. And they primarily put out their content on Twitch and YouTube. And Twitch, if you're not familiar, anybody who's watching, is a video game streaming service that's owned by Amazon. As for social media, they have about 500,000 followers on Facebook, 345,000 followers on Twitter, 476,000 followers on Instagram, 148,000 subscribers on YouTube, and 23,000 subscribers on Twitch. Their website has a few tags. I noticed Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager, pretty basic stuff, as well as OneSignal for push notifications, which if you hit their site, you're immediately asked to enable push notifications. There's a Juicer, which I'm not familiar with, but is tagged as a social content aggregation tool to pull hashtagged videos and content off of social platforms. And then they're using Mixpanel to track analytics and to split test. And then they also have Yoast for SEO and MailChimp for their email backends. This is what their website looks like.
This is amazing. This website's super, super heavy, but it's really, really clean and really, really laid out well. They have all of their live Twitch streams just playing under that TV tab. I love that. I mean, I'm sure the main thing is to get Twitch subscribers here. So what I would do is you hover over that, and then you have the ability to...
Hold up. We got to start the timer. Timer's on. Okay. All right. Fire away.
Okay, cool. So immediately getting on here, I'm super, super confused because A, I don't know anything about French esports. And B, I barely know anything about esports in general. But what I would say is their main play is they're like, okay, they're trying to get all of this content. They're trying to get Twitch subscribers, and that's kind of like their main deal. So up in the top right corner, they have that TV navigation icon. And it shows you like, okay, we have a live Twitch stream going right now. So right now, Gotaga in France, he's live streaming a game and he's getting live reactions in real time, right? So they're saying like at any given time, we could be throwing up all of these streams. What I would do is I would have a deep link to text too. At the top of TV, at the top of the main, as soon as you're hitting their website, have a deep link to text where it's just like, want to subscribe, drop in your phone number, drop in your email address, drop in your phone number for mobile, drop in your email address if you're on desktop. And then that way you get a link that immediately subscribes you to their Twitch channels.
Yes, I agree. And I know there's one trick you can do actually with YouTube. I'm not sure if you can do this with Twitch, but on YouTube, you can actually add a little piece of text to the URL like you would with a UTM tracking code that is what you would put into the URL if you were to hit a subscribe button on somebody's channel on YouTube. So when someone clicks the link to go to YouTube, it automatically first thing pops up with a, are you sure you want to subscribe? Yes, no. And it's a really easy way that some people use to get people just directly into that subscription on YouTube. Obviously, if you hit someone cold, they might not be, appreciate that very well. But if there's a little bit of context, it can be pretty effective. And I'm not sure if you can do that on Twitch, but you might be able to. And so that's something they might want to explore as well. I do, while you're processing this, I do want to pull down a few things into our persona. Really, our personas at the top level, it's anyone into esports or watching professional gamers. And I think there's also a broader audience of anyone who is into video games or has played video games that they're going to be streaming. Because even if someone's not into esports, like, I'm not too into esports. I don't think you are either. But if I don't know, in like the Halo days, if we're playing Halo with our friends and somebody goes up and is streaming Halo, I'll probably give it a watch if they're pretty good, right? So I think the broader audience is really anyone playing video games they're streaming. Just to put a bit of context on it.
Looking at their calendar tab, what would be a super good move here is having some sort of subscription to this calendar, because likely what people are doing is they're coming in to this website and they're just repeatedly checking this calendar, which is great for their SEO, and that's where they're going to drive traffic. But it's actually probably a better idea. Their end game here is really to let people know when things are streaming live. So having a subscription to one of these calendars would be a killer move for them.
Yep, I like it. I love it. I'm gonna drop in that in our Google Doc. Subscription to your calendar, game schedule. Yeah, and one of the interesting things I think at kind of more of a high level section, I guess, we'll put it in the strategy category, is kind of how they're making their money. And it's really interesting because I think if you look at the business and the website as a whole, from kind of like take a step back, it's a few things. They're in the business of capturing attention. They want people to come back and watch their streamers, and they're looking for audiences at scale, right? We don't care if one person who has a lot of money comes and watches this, the way you might, if you're going to sell in like a B2B transaction, you sell $1 million contract to one person. We want 1 million people watching the stream. So that's one aspect. They also have their shop, which is selling merchandise. And then at the very bottom, I think you can see their sponsors. Their sponsorship revenue, I think, is probably a pretty substantial part of the business. They're sponsored by a few companies. Razer, I'm a big fan. I actually have a Razer computer that we're doing this on right now. But they have a few other, Adidas in here. I imagine they make some decent money from that sponsorship revenue as well. So just interesting breaking down kind of the revenue sources.
Yeah, I think everyone is fairly confused by esports. I for sure am, but I know that everybody can get into it. So they're like, you play this like weird balance of like knowing that this is going to be huge, and then this super, super inauthentic focus. And sponsors play a really weird role when it comes to that. One thing, when you go over to their community tab too, they're literally just pulling hashtags for anything that they're looking to focus on, and it just feels like a random amalgamation of garbage. I
so much random content.
Yes, it just doesn't make any sense. It's in like 10 different languages. Like this really does nothing for them. They're just literally, they're like, hey, do you like Twitter? Okay, put Twitter here. And it just doesn't make any sense. Like their community is literally always creating content. It's crazy. Like content creation for esports gets created automatically. Like there's literally zero effort as far as like, hey, I'm going to go do this thing that I really like, and I'm going to immediately stream it. Like content happens in an instant for them. So like really what they should be doing with all this community is like, they should be hiring 1 or 2 editors to go through and say, I'm going to take all this content that's being created and I'm going to splice it together, and we're going to have like weekly focuses or something that actually feels like well put together, because this just feels like random nonsense.
I agree. And I'm adding a couple comments here as well. I think one of the things, really what we're getting at, is just better navigation of their content on their website, because they have a shit ton of content. They're creating so much content every day from all of their streamers and all of their people. The biggest thing is organization. And I think a few really specific things that we just hit on, which is figuring out a way to better organize the hashtags on their community tab, whether it's filtering down to, I don't know, the type of game, or is this like a sponsorship thing, or are these the actual players? I think it'd be cool to showcase the players' social media on this page, as well. I know it's a community tab, but that's like really drilling down into the, the individual aspects of the team. A couple other things, I'd like to see some mega menus in here. And those are the kind of fly out menus that show a bunch of different drop downs when you hover over it, especially for the shop. I think drilling down to different types of products instead of just funneling everybody to the shop. That way someone hovers over shop, they want a t-shirt, boom, they go straight to t-shirts. But then also split up by different types of games. And I think they have a little bit of that on their different pages of their site, but I imagine you'll probably have really strong communities that are into one video game that are not as much into the others. And they probably just care about that one video game. Like anybody who's into like Fortnite, for example, if you had a mega menu calls out, here's the calendar for Fortnite, or here's news or, sponsors or updates related to that specific game, you're going to call out to that audience a little bit better. And I think people might come looking for that. So we should give it to them.
Yep, totally. I mean, especially just like, there's probably such a crazy community. One of their rosters is FIFA. There's such a crazy community of people that play FIFA. And it's actually kind of broadening outside of their, like, you're a really, really specific game. Like, you're playing League of Legends LCS. That's a totally different audience than FIFA. FIFA is like your everyman. Like, you have it from all different but like H1Z1 KO TK, I've literally never heard of that ever in my entire life. It's like, I guarantee you, so many millions and millions of people are playing FIFA.
And here it is, by the way. I found this little sub drop down on the rosters page for different types of games. I mean, come on, guys. It's sort of hidden. It's not really obvious. I can barely see that little drop down thing because it's gray on a white background. It's really hard to tell. And I think, let's get that in the top level navigation and let's call it out more specifically. I can't imagine like, a big FIFA fan, getting into like hardcore like shooting games, streaming. There's a little bit of crossover, but you can't just drop that person directly into that community. You got to give some some nurturing. Got to bridge the gap a little bit. So I'd like to see that drill down a little bit more, and especially with the shop too, because I'll pull up the shop in a new tab. This is, like I said, this is built on Shopify. So it's on a subdomain. It's kind of split out of a separate site, and it's all kind of Vitality branded stuff. But I think we could also get more specific about the different types of games, the different audiences here, and that could probably help on the revenue generation side and like what they're doing with their products. Especially too, if you have, I don't know, just more details about maybe team members as well, that, it's not just Vitality as a whole, to get really more granular about segmenting based on the different audience types. It's really about, we have a huge audience. How do we create products for each of the different subsegments of that audience? Because, Vitality will hit everybody, but there's all the smaller subsegments that'll better identify with different parts of their audience.
Yep, totally. And also, like, as the second you hit this shop, it's in French. It's not taking your IP address and immediately translating into English. And they have
it did for me.
Yeah, yeah. It was Spanish for you. Oh.
No. I probably hit this before, and I set my language preferences. But I do get a lot of Spanish sites in Costa Rica.
Yep. So, like, if you look at their social too, all of their social is completely focused on their teams and their influencers, which I think is a good move for sure. But they're not really creating any content with this team besides, hey, here's a picture of this person playing video games. It doesn't really tell a story. They're literally creating video content for you 24/7. Like, it's so crazy that all you would have to do is hire an editor to slice up this video content.
Yep. Or, oh man, this is like, it's gotta be some analogs to Cinebody in this.
Yeah. No, yeah, it definitely makes sense. Like, Cinebody would fit perfectly into this. Like, you have a really, really highly engaged audience of users that you can ask them to film anything and they will film it for you because they are so, like, deeply fixated on these video game influencers, and they're willing to say, like, hey, I want to feel connected to these video game influencers. So if you ask me a question, I'm definitely going to have the impetus to respond. Like, it's a no-brainer for these guys.
Exactly. I like it. So I want to move on a little bit. We dropped some of these into the website, and the website's interesting because I feel like it's not It's way different than a lot of the websites we normally work on in B2B or B2C, since it's really focused around showcasing all of this video content and their live streams. So it's really different than anything that we've done. But I think really the overarching theme is just better organization. I want to dig down into some of the channel strategy here and what we're talking about in terms of growth. Do you have any opening thoughts? I have a few things that I want to bring up, but before we get into that, is there anything that hits you right off the bat in terms of channel strategy and really focused on growth?
Yeah. I mean, really, like they could be doing such a better job of like tying in Adidas, tying in Renault, tying in Razor. Like that, they have the most massive channel. Like awareness is not a problem for them at all because literally they are a channel. Like their brand and their business is a channel in and of itself, and they're just dragging reach everywhere. Like it's anything they can be doing to like engage people that are already out their website, they're on their Twitch streams. Like if you look at the breakdown between their Instagram following versus like their YouTube following versus their Twitch following, they should 100% be focusing on increasing that number for Twitch. Like that is by and large the most important thing they're doing. And the second that you hit their website, there's nothing about, hey, subscribe to us on Twitch. The second you hit their Instagram, there's shopvitality.gg. Like I guarantee you that revenue source is such a short-term like lens that you're looking for, saying like, okay, it'd be awesome if we could sell more of these bandanas like in this quarter, but that's such a short-term play. Everything they should be focusing on would be like growing those streaming numbers. And they have 479,000 followers on Instagram. Like if anybody's following this, I guarantee you they have a Twitch account. There's not a single reason they should not be able to convert all of those people to Twitch.
Yeah, there are, and I do want to dig down to in some of the research. I've actually been recently, and part of why I thought we should pick this particular company for our teardown is that I've been kind of following the streaming world a little bit. I think live streaming is huge, especially for business, and we're just at the beginning of it right now. A lot of other esports players, especially some I noticed in my research, they have audiences in the 5 million to 10 million range. So if we're talking as far as audience size, this is still small fish. I mean, they're fairly large. They're not like some kid in his bedroom, but they're still small fish compared to the reach that they could have. So I do want to make that pretty clear that in terms of growth for the audience itself, there's a lot of room to go, especially considering they probably start in France and branch out internationally, get their English translation, et cetera, et cetera. You did bring up something that I want to focus on real quick, and I added this up in our strategy section, which is the idea of revenue expansion versus audience growth. I think those are two completely different goals that we do need to take into consideration here, especially since, if we're focusing on revenue, we might do things like monthly or quarterly apparel and bandana sales, which, that comes with a whole different set of things that we're going to want to do in order to get that revenue in versus growing the audience, which just means, okay, well, now how do we add, another 100,000 people to our own audience, or how do we get 1 million more people on Twitch, right? Those are completely different goals. And I think that's a pretty important, like very high level direction that needs to be figured out before like really continuing on to any kind of growth or marketing strategy.
Yeah, I would love to look at their P&L because I guarantee you the sponsor revenue that they're making is completely different than what they're making from their shop, and everything feels like they're trying to gravitate towards the shop in all their social channels and their website. It's like, I bet that is such a small line item compared to like anything that is going to be compounded by creating those Twitch followers, like, and just really driving that number home.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you look at their shop too, because all the stuff they have in there is not really that novel. They're honestly, it's commodity products, right? It's private labeled T-shirts, bandanas, wristbands, little keychains, things like that. All this shit. There's 1 million of these from 1 million different brands. It's nothing new. It's the exact same thing. What they're really selling is the brand of Vitality. So honestly, one of the best ways to grow the shop sales is to grow the brand and grow the audience. I mean, yeah, you can focus on maybe, selling different types of products, getting game specific, getting streamer specific, adding more SKUs, things like that. But at the end of the day, the brand growth is going to be the strongest thing for the company as a whole, layered on top of what they're selling in their shop. So I do want to make that pretty clear.
Yeah.
I do want to dig into a little bit more about their own audience engagement on their channels. I think one of the things they could do that would serve them really well is contests, especially viral contests and giveaways. It's super easy for them to do something like buy $2,000 gaming computer or something, go to their audience of 500,000 people and say, we're giving away a computer. If you want to enter to win, give us your email address, give us your phone number, blah, 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 blah. Share this on Facebook, share this on whatever to get extra entries. Boom. All of a sudden, you've leveraged your own audience to expand it, exponentially beyond what you have. And I think that could be huge in terms of getting their brand in front of other people.
Yep, 100%. I mean, there's a million ways they can grow this Twitch audience, and they're trying pretty much nothing on their website.
Yeah. Well, they might be. We just haven't found it. It's so hard to navigate.
Underneath the our beloved partners, the top beloved partner is called Placeholder. Visit Placeholder website.
Wait. Where is this?
So if you go to sponsors, that sponsors tab, our beloved
there it is.
partners, just above Adidas is Placeholder.
Oh my God.
So
oh, come on, guys. Wow. That's someone fucked up.
That's pretty insane. And I really think that
oh my
I'd be curious to see what their partnership with HP is, because really I see esports as being the number one way to take down Apple and transition everybody back to PC Master Race.
Yeah, sponsored by Jeff Bezos and Twitch.
Yep.
Smart move. Amazon buying Twitch, by the way. Yeah. Oh, God, this is killing me. I can't believe they put that there. That's so bad.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
Anyway, yeah. So speaking of that, by the way, one of the things that I do want to add into channels is joint partner marketing. I think that's one of the things that's absolutely massive that they could do to grow their audience. Their partners are big global level corporations with audiences in the tens or hundreds of millions. If they can get any kind of joint marketing, whether it's like at that scale too, like a press release, just a press release could give them a lot of exposure. If they can just put out something that's a really sexy sounding story that's like, HP, sponsors, Team Vitality, French esports team, look at all the cool shit that they're doing, and then they drop in a couple of video clips or whatever. Like that kind of thing could go crazy. Getting out, if they can get any kind of a tag in their email list, if they get any kind of a tag on like HP's website or Adidas's website, that would be huge. Anything they can do to really leverage these partners to get in front of their partner audiences can be huge.
Yep. So Twitch has Twitch Prime as well too. It'd be interesting to do a hyperlocal. By hyperlocal, I mean the country of France. But a partnership with Twitch, where when you're following Team Vitality on Twitch and you're subscribed to Twitch, you get a discount on Twitch Prime. That'd probably be a really, really hard deal to negotiate. But if they could do that, that would be insane for them.
Yeah, and speaking of this, by the way, I want to dig into Twitch because there's some interesting stuff I think we can do inside of Twitch. One of the other things that you can do, and that I noticed in some of my research into Twitch was that you can have partnerships with other streamers. You can have streamers that stream other streamers. You can have streamers that basically do collaborations with other streamers and teams, either the players or the channels themselves. And I think they could leverage this a lot. And they have the clout, right? They have the audience to get into these other areas. And they have a really big pitch to anybody in, say, the US or like I think South Korea has a really strong esports presence because they can pitch their French audience to these audiences in other countries, which is completely different from what other people might already be in.
Yep. Also, Twitch has its own native ad platform. That is the biggest no-brainer to just immediately go there.
Holy shit! I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's huge. And really, all of these ideas should be on the back of partner marketing, and then off the back of, hey, we want to run a contest. We're going to do all of the ad choices through Twitch TV.
Interesting. Yeah, that's just such a no-brainer. That's their first.
Yeah, this is crazy. You're not in the like ecosystem of Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Google AdWords. You're kind of in this like seemingly empty like environment that you could just go after it. I bet everything is so cheap compared to AdWords.
Yeah, yeah, I bet it is. And
Yeah,
I
wow.
mean, average probably there's probably no ROI on that, honestly. I mean, it's so broad. Like if you're paying 50 cents, a dollar, $2 a click to get someone to go watch your stream, I don't know if the ROI is there. Like, is the lifetime value really that, greater than that? I don't know.
No way.
Um, something interesting, by the way, that I do want to bring up with Twitch is that I believe, let me pull up Twitch. Uh, One of the ways that Twitch works is that it categorizes streams by games. So let's see. Yeah. It categorizes it by games. So if I go into like Overwatch, this one right here, they'll show up with all the people that are currently live streaming, and I believe you can sort them by how many people are on it, or does that automatically in some way. Not seeing that right here, but I believe it sorts by, say, like the most watched stream pops up at the top.
Right.
Yeah, oh yeah, there it is. 175,000 viewers. Jesus, 175,000 viewers on whatever this is. Then followed by 16,000 viewers and 8,000, 5,000, 4,000. Something I noticed though is that we're looking at a form of search engine optimization here, which is the thing that seems to rank them pretty much 100% is how many viewers they have. And if you notice the drop off, the number one has 175,000 viewers. The number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 has 800 viewers. That's such a huge delta. And if we go another row down, we're at 130 viewers. I mean,
Yep.
that has got to be very easy to jack up to the top of the rankings for some of these games. And I bet if you did some kind of like a I don't know what is not against their terms of service, but if you can get that viewership up to more than 150, boom, you're already in the top 7 of that channel category, which is where people getting on to Twitch will be looking. And if you can get a few more than that, boom, you're at the very top row under that game category. So this is a really strong way to kind of hijack Twitch SEO.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's interesting.
Super interesting. It's also crazy how big that drop off is. 175,000, and then 5 spots later, it's at 800. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. That's so insane. Because this is it almost feels like passive, you know?
Mm-hmm. Check another category. See what's going on there. Apex Legends. 40,000, 10,000, 8,000. Oh, this is a little bit more saturated. 2,000. A lot of players in the 3,000, 2,000 range. A lot of them in the 1,000. Still, it's just not. This seems like, it feels to me like such an early channel to get into, that if you have any kind of audience that already exists, you're instantly at the top, and you can just piggyback on the growth of Twitch itself as more people get on the platform.
Yeah, it's almost like they need to hedge Twitch a little bit too. So like we're saying that they're completely focusing on Twitch, and that's what they should be doing. But building your businesses completely off the back of something that is run by an algorithm, aka like Twitch
Mm-hmm.
SEO, is probably the most dangerous thing you can do. So what could even happen? Actually, I think that's probably a pretty good argument for getting people to subscribe to your Twitch feed through that online channel and dropping a phone number in, because then you have people's phone numbers, you have their email addresses, you're building an audience there, as well as getting them into the main channel.
Yeah.
Two birds, one stone.
I agree. I think the meta on this is really, if we're looking at it from a funnel perspective, Twitch is out there. They have the audience and they're already big on Twitch. They need to do everything they can while they're riding the growth of Twitch to funnel that into an owned audience, because if they don't own the audience, they could get fucked. And also, again, Twitch owned by Amazon. Amazon is notorious for squeezing all of the people that it does business with. It's scary. If you're a seller on Amazon, if you're a partner of Amazon, if you have done any business with Amazon, they will do everything they can to take as much margin from you as possible. And like that will happen here eventually. It's not if, it's when. It's a year from now, 5 years, 10 years, it will happen on this platform too. So you gotta be careful, guys.
Yeah, if you're also the entire city of New York.
I know. I know. You can't win. You can't win with Amazon. So crazy. I say that as I'm currently setting up some Amazon stores for a couple clients, and we've got some good opportunities ahead of us there. But we're being mindful because you can't trust in Bezos too much. All right, a few other things. A few other things I want to bring up. YouTube. I want to dig into YouTube a little bit. That is an area where there's a ton of opportunity for growth, especially because they only have 148,000 subscribers, which relative to the other channels is quite low. And considering YouTube, it's the channel for video content and everything they do is video. I'm surprised that number's so low. I would have thought that would be a lot higher. So that honestly tells me that they haven't focused on it as much and they haven't really employed that many tactics to try to grow their YouTube following. And I think they could probably dig a little bit deeper into that. Whether that's collaborations with other channels, maybe, YouTube ads as well. It's quite cheap to get video ads, and I think the investment in growing the subscriber base and viewership that way could be worth it as well. And really just making that more of a solid call to action besides Twitch to kind of diversify from driving everyone towards the streams. If they can get their audience on YouTube as well, they can always funnel them into Twitch from YouTube. But I'd like to see more call to actions on YouTube.
Yeah, I think one major outlet they should be doing in their channel strategy is definitely PR. They have a press tab on their website too. That's literally just a press kit that does nothing. You shouldn't be funneling people there. But their outreach strategy could be good. Any partnerships they're doing, like they should be throwing massive events, like anything they can do to get just in like pretty much in the awareness stage just through PR is something they should for sure be focusing on.
Yeah, and I want to dig into the event marketing a little bit. I think they could do like gaming meetups where they bring all the equipment. Maybe their sponsors provide the computers and everything, and they just have either it's their talent or it's free to the public to just go in. They can get a ton of people to to show up in person at the game. Meet and greets with their streamers with their team. Could be good as well because each of these guys have their own following. I'm sure that a lot of people in their audience would love to go and meet everybody who's on the team. That could potentially be a solid thing. And they might be doing some of this, by the way. It's kind of hard to say what their actual event kind of offline marketing is, but I think these things could have a little bit of fruit. So I would add those two in there.
I mean, really, the most fun thing that they could do is just be like, make these people just seem totally insane and be like, there's this crazy like French eSports league and they're just like killing the game and they just do crazy stunts and they're just nuts and they're also like the best. You could totally take it like Ryan Holiday Avenue.
Yeah. Dude, I wonder if you could do something like so there's I read the book Behind the Cloud, I believe. It was written by Mark Benioff, the founder of Salesforce. And one of the things that they did in their come up was that they did a lot of event marketing where they would have all of like a couple customers in one city get together with a bunch of potential prospects and they would like throw an event and provide beer and whatever and everything. And everybody got together and then their existing customers sold to new customers and they brought them on and they made a lot of money that way. But the interesting thing is that they had people that were kind of in their audience, so to speak, meet with all the people outside the audience just by throwing an event. I wonder if they could do something like that here, whether that's a gaming meetup or something else. If they can just get like their super fans, their crazy, bought all the merch, Vitality, warriors. If they can get some of those people in the room with 100 other just like random people sort of into gaming and esports, that'll do the job of selling it for them. And I think that's a big way that they could leverage this kind of like offline events.
That's the cool thing about that too, is you can kind of shovel clout into other people's lap, right? So like if you make it really, really elusive and it's really hard to like hold these events, like it's hard to get in the position of holding these events to where when you get picked, you feel like you're just in this God mode and you give them a huge budget. Like these are like kids that aren't like seen as like super, super awesome, So giving them the power to feel like, yo, I'm a badass, like I'm able to like hold these events and they picked me and just leverage like the contest strategy that we were talking about earlier. Like all of it feeds into it and it would be super, super easy to do.
Yeah, I don't want to really dive into that. I think community building as its own channel would be huge, especially offline. Really it's about building up kind of like, I would say people at kind of like the level of like moderators or like the middle management equivalent of a community. If they can leverage their existing audience into creating a lot of those people to kind of grow the brand and grow the community, if that makes sense. Like they could probably have some of this on Reddit, they could have some of this on Facebook, they could have some of this on all sorts of different channels. But if they find that, yeah, that guy who's in their audience, who's in, I don't know, Shreveport, Louisiana, and we were talking about that earlier. If we can find that guy in Shreveport, Louisiana, who's a huge Vitality fan that would love to get a bunch of people together and like be empowered to put on events and run the show and really just own the idea that he's building something amazing out in Shreveport, Louisiana that's tied to Vitality. I think that could be really cool.
Yep. Okay, here we go. Yeah, their Team Vitality subreddit is like pretty empty too.
Really? That's interesting. They should focus on that. I think that's a huge opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
That's for sure. All right.
Yeah, 165 subscribers for Reddit /Team Vitality. I mean, really, they could probably nuke Facebook and be okay, and just focus like on something that is a lot more fruitful. Reddit, I always think Reddit's a gold mine if you play it with the proper position and don't make it feel like, hey, they're fellow kids.
Yeah, exactly. Reddit's hard, but I mean, it's a good channel if you do it right. So
yeah, totally. I think it's just because if you have somebody who's lame managing your Reddit channel, like it's going to turn lame, and Redditors will just flip on you.
Yep. And lame, anything falls into that lame category that is even remotely connected to like politically correct and business oriented, and like anytime you try to put something with like a little bit of like extra polish that went through like a couple people's hands and a couple people's minds, it's just done on Reddit. It's toast. So I do want to, we did hit our timer. What was that?
Yeah. I said, I wonder if these guys are big in Canada. Like, I'm trying to think of like other French-speaking countries.
That's a great. Yeah, I love that. That's a great idea.
Opportunities for like other French-speaking countries where like they're like, oh, these dudes are from France. Like, we speak French. We live in the north of Vietnam or something like that.
Yeah. So I think we do everything that we talked about and we put in here, but do those in specifically French-speaking countries makes a ton of sense, and they don't have to worry about English translation or anything like that. Like I was saying though, we did hit our timer, so I want to. I have a few more things that I want to add to our channel strategy, like super fast, and then we can go on to our next steps and wrap up. That work for you?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool. All right. So one other thing that I think they could do is, and this is more in kind of like the top level strategy. I think focusing on emerging new games, add to their talent list and stream schedule. Really just to hijack on the popularity of new games that are up and coming, because games aren't necessarily going to last forever. It's not like every year is football game, soccer game, baseball game, whatever. These things are changing super rapidly, and new games are always being released. So I think that's a key kind of top level strategy they could focus on. I did drop in earlier as well. I think they could learn a lot of things from franchises in regular sports. And I'm not too well versed in that, but that's something that I would want to research and look into. Say if I were on their marketing team, I would definitely explore what franchises are doing in the non-esports world and try to translate that over here. I do have one more thing, and this is kind of more of a tool that I want to add in here, and Wistia. I want to drop in a plug to Wistia. Wistia as a video player is really awesome because they have a lot of lead generation capabilities and a lot of things that you can do on top of just being a video player that I think are really interesting. So one of the things you can do is you can gate content. You can say, hey, enter your email address to continue watching, et cetera, et cetera. They could do something like that to continue to grow their own audience by email or by phone number, by text message, something like that. Or they can use that in order to kind of better understand what parts of videos people are engaging with. You have this on YouTube, but if you're running people from your website and not on a platform specifically about video, I think it's also valuable to try to get those metrics. And Wistia does a great job of digging down into those. So I'd like to see maybe some tests with Wistia. I don't know if it works fully for this, but I think it might be worth a shot.
Yeah, because obviously all of the videos that they're hosting on their website are taking you immediately out of their website and into Twitch.
Yeah.
Which probably nukes their SEO. I
Oh,
wonder if
probably
Twitch.
does.
I wonder if Twitch does iframes. Like, would you be able to host on your own website an
Oh, that's
iframe
interesting.
directly into Twitch?
I wonder because the TV is it has like a preview right here, a live preview of
Yeah, yeah.
Gotaga. Can you make this bigger?
No, when you click into it, it takes you directly to Twitch.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if you had control over the details of that thing, can you make it bigger?
Awesome.
Yeah. So if you inspect it,
New Honda Civic Sport is fast moving.
I think you can. I think you can actually.
Really?
Yeah. Can I like? I don't know if I can edit this.
Yeah, it just keeps taking me directly to Twitch.
So, oh, I need to fuck with the thing. I don't know if the resolution, what kind of resolution they'll get. Probably won't be full resolution. But if I just try to edit, if I went to inspect the page and I go to edit that like live stream video that's right there, I can change the size of it and it does get bigger. So
So
they can post that on their website. I imagine the quality loss is going to be the biggest thing.
yeah, this is just like a 3-second preview that's on loop too.
Oh shit, it is.
Like what's playing isn't actually live streaming.
Oh, it's just a GIF. I see. Yeah. I bet Amazon probably doesn't want to do that because they want all the traffic on Twitch.
Yep, totally.
Hmm.
God, I bet all these people are just getting nuked for SEO.
I know. Oh, there's
Super
some way to just
confusing to
own the
navigate.
content more.
Crazy.
Yeah. All right, man. You wanted to get on to wrap up?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's where we take our torn down pieces and we put them back together.
We're gonna tear them up. This is where we tear it up.
All right. Boom. All right. What for next steps? What do you want to focus on first?
First easiest steps is just nuke the navigation and restructure it to make sense whatsoever. Yeah, with focus on deep links to Twitch streams and deep links to subscribe. I think that's the most important part. Type in your phone number for a deep link to subscribe to us on Twitch.
I agree. And I'll add on to that as well. I want to see mega menus in their navigation. I think mega menus add a lot to navigation, especially because I think a lot of their audience, especially if they're gamers, might actually be browsing on their desktop in a higher proportion rather than mobile if they have a nice computer. I also want to add in just in terms of in terms of their website is just organization on page and more polish. I just think there's not a lot of polish. The fact that they have placeholder on their partnerships page is just fucking nuts. Like somebody should have caught that. That's not okay. So just more organization and polish. All right, what else we got?
Imagine Adidas looking at that and their heads just exploding.
I know, that's the thing. These are big names too. You can't mess that up.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think the next thing is go through the native ad platform. Twitch has a native ad platform. Go play around in it. Every piece of this strategy that we have up here can be leveraged with the Twitch ad platform.
Yep, I agree. Twitch ads, and I'll add YouTube video ads as well. I think that's pretty important. I think YouTube is the biggest channel for growth, which I like to see. And I would put next up collaborations with other streamers and esports teams on YouTube specifically, because I think YouTube is their biggest opportunity for growth out of all their channels. It's video focused, the audience is there, and they can take it. I would like to see them just doing more stuff to get in front of other audiences. All right.
I would say testing.
Testing.
I think those those viral contests and giveaways. I think that's probably one of the easiest softballs that they can go for right away. They have 1 million channels with a bunch of. They literally have almost in total 200 or 2 million subscribers.
Yeah, dude. Actually, fuck it, dude. I put that as number one. That's my number one thing, honestly.
Yep. Totally.
In terms of growth, in terms of audience growth, at least, I think that's my number one. Let's see. On top of that, I would really like to see what happens with some Twitch SEO. I have no idea if those things I was proposing are even possible or if it makes sense to kind of jack your viewership up. But I think there are some things you could do that's worth looking into. I'm sure that I would guess right now the amount of people with knowledge of search engine optimization on Twitch is like you can count them on like one hand. And if they can figure that out, they're going to be winners. They're going to take home the trophy. All right, we want to add anything else into the next steps?
I think all of this is pretty solid. Honestly, this is kind of an all-encompassing step, but just really testing every single one of these strategies in a bunch of different geographies that speak French. Because really, like, if you're subscribed to someone's live stream and they're speaking French and they're speaking probably French slang, unless you speak French, you are not going to know what's happening, and it's going to be
That's
just
true.
so confusing.
That's true. I would not watch.
Get real time subtitles. Like, it's just not going to work.
Yeah. I do think that if they can invest more in subtitles on video clips, by the way, for French videos. Yeah, especially for YouTube, Facebook, etc., etc. Cool. That's good with me. I think that's pretty solid for the next steps here. Oh man, yeah. I'm disappointed in whoever's working on their website team. I want to love them, but what's up with that placeholder, man?
Yeah, I mean, it looks so good. It looks amazing, but it's just like, oh, that's brutal. And like trying to figure out what's going on here and where I should be focusing besides like this glowing TV dot. I think that's like, it's just so confusing.
Yeah, they did have a, it looks like they had their theme kind of custom built. It shows up in my WordPress detector as Team Vitality. So I wonder if there's a link to the, I don't want to throw too much shade on another agency or whatever, but yeah. Anyway, that could do it. I think that's pretty good. What do you think of this teardown?
This is the hardest fucking thing we could have possibly done. I love it. I'm also stoked that we got to like look at Twitch, you know, because like I fucking don't know. I don't know anything about it. Gary Vee pretends to know about it, and like the only kids that really know are professional gamers and every 14-year-old on the face of planet Earth.
Hey guys, so I'm recording this a day later. We forgot to record an outro, but real quick, if you want to go check out Travis, you can find him on LinkedIn, Travis Page. He's works at Cinebody. And if you want to find me, you can find me on LinkedIn, or you can go to andrewishimaru.com. If you just Google my name, I own all the top Google results, so you can check that out. Hope you guys really enjoyed this one. It was a ton of fun, and we'll see you next week on Marketing Teardown.